Now on this channel, I've told a lot of stories about me doing the Devil's Tango, but have I ever told you about the time where I did it with 2 girls at the same time? This story honestly goes crazy, and before we get into it, make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do this and changes my life for the better. But other than that, let's just jump straight into this insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to a really embarrassing video. So today's story all takes place back in my high school year, and this was my grade 11 year. Now I remember one time I was walking down the hallway that year, and as I was walking down the hallway, I realized that there was a girl that kept staring at me for some really odd reason. Now me and this girl did not have any classes together, nothing. Me and her, we kind of just like always looked at each other, but never actually did anything about it, which is very uncommon of me to do. But at the same time, it was getting towards the end of the school year, and I had to focus on my classes. But then I remember out of nowhere, when I entered one of my classrooms, a girl ends up coming up to me, and this was a totally different girl. This was a girl that was just a really nice girl in my class that, to be honest, me and her have said a couple words to each other, but nothing to the point where it was flirtatious. And I remember she comes up to me and says, "Hey Bubba, I'm just curious, what are your plans for this weekend?" Nothing. I'm planning on just kind of staying home. I got some homework to do, but other than that, I'm kind of just chilling. Why, what's up? She ends up asking me a couple of questions about, you know, do I have my car this weekend, and basically if I'm free to go out. I told her sure, like I'm down to go out and stuff, and she said bet. And then she ended up giving me an address to a house party that was happening. Now it was no surprise that I got invited to a party. Back when I was in grade 11, I was invited to a bunch of different parties. But one thing I will say was that I found it very, very weird how when I went around and asked people if they got invited to a party from this girl, all of them said no. Even my closest friends said that they had no idea that there was a party going on. At this point, I felt really weird, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's like, you know, a party that other schools are going to other than mine. But at the same time, it never made sense to me why I was invited. Until one day, I remember the day of the party, I ended up going home and I was playing Xbox and talking to my friends on live party chat for a bit before I went to the party. And I asked them if, you know, maybe they wanted to come and stuff, but they said since they weren't invited, it wouldn't be cool if they showed up, which I don't see the problem with crashing parties. Like I would always do this back in high school. Like even if I wasn't invited, I'm still going to it. It's a party. Like, come on. Anyways, going on from there, I remember I ended up basically leaving my Xbox. I got dressed and I got all ready, and I decided to drive over to the party. And when I got to the person's house that, you know, the girl gave me the address for, I realized that there was no other cars parked there, and it didn't seem like the house was having a party. A lot of the lights were off, and honestly, there was only one light on upstairs, and it was just really, well, how do I say this? It was really just gloomy and sad. Like, it did not seem like a party house whatsoever. So at that point, I remember I got out of my car and I'm thinking, should I just turn around? Should I just not go? And most commonly, people wouldn't go. But me, well, I always said yes to things in life, which led me to a lot of crazy experiences, which you guys know on this channel. But I remember I ended up going inside there, and when I went inside, I saw that out of nowhere, the girl that would always stare at me in the hallway opened the door before I even knocked on it. She looks at me and says, "Oh, hey, welcome to my house. I can't believe you actually came." Yeah. I thought it was gonna be a party though. Where is everybody? Wait, a party? Wait, what do you mean a party? I never was having a party. At this point, I was confused. I'm like, wait, did I just get lied to? Who is this girl? Like, why is she looking at me like this? Like, I know this was the girl from my school, but why am I here? And at that point, I looked at her and said, wait, let me pull out my phone. And I decided to call the girl that invited me to this party in the first place. I called her and I said, yo, I'm at the party right now, but there isn't a party. She ends up telling me how, like, you know, this whole storyline about how this girl always had a crush on me, but she never had the courage to walk up to me, so she wanted me to walk up to her. I don't know, she was trying to basically become the main character in a movie. It was the most dumbest thing ever, and honestly, to this point in my life, I realized that it was the most awkward interaction I think I've ever had. So at that point, I got really upset, and I said, yo, like, this was not cool. Like, why did you do this? Like, seriously? Like, that's just so weird. And then she said that she lives down the street and she'll come over to make, you know, the situation less awkward. I told her okay, and she ended up coming over, and me and her, we all ended up sitting in the living room, just kind of looking at each other thinking, what in the world are we doing here? Because I came for a party. She thought I was, you know, gonna confess my love to this girl that lives at this house. The girl that invited me in the first place, well, she's just sitting there acting like she's watching a TV drama. And I remember I looked at both of them and said, okay, yo, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm just gonna leave. Like, this is just weird. And I got up, and as I got up, I remember both of the girls ended up coming towards me, and they both grabbed my hand and said, no, like, don't leave, like, just try us out. I looked at both of them and made a joke about, you know, trying them out, like how it was kind of funny how they said that. And that's when they got the bright idea to bring me up to their bedroom and basically decide to take off their clothing in front of me. They said, you know what? Try us out. And if you don't enjoy one of us, then you can have both of us. At that point, I didn't know what to say. This was straight up out of the devil's hub. Like, I was just mind blown that this was even happening right now. And at that point, me and the two girls ended up doing the devil's tango. Obviously, it was a little awkward because I think this was only like the second time I've ever done two girls at the same time. To be for real with you, I kind of smashed it. I'm not gonna lie, literally and figuratively. Yeah, you know, I don't know. The more I try to explain the story, the more awkward it seems. But long story short, I ended up doing two girls at the same time. Now you guys are probably thinking, oh, that's perfect. You know, you just ended up doing the devil's tango with two girls at the same time. Well, this is where the story gets even worse and super embarrassing, because I remember as I'm in the middle of doing these two girls, out of nowhere, I ended up hearing the front door open. I look at one of the girls and say, yo, is your parents home or something? No, they should be like gone for the whole weekend. Wait, who's here? And at that point, I hear voices that I recognize downstairs looking for me saying, yo, Bubba, you said there was a party here. Where is everybody? And at that point, I'm like, oh shoot, my homies that I told about the party actually ended up coming. And right as they heard that, one of the girls ended up making like an eking sound, like kind of like a you know, like kind of like a gasping freak out sound. And the boys heard it downstairs, ran upstairs and saw me and the two girls in the same bed. What did the boys do? Well, they ended up basically closing the door and all clapping for me, thinking, wow, this is a great party, Bubba. Thanks for inviting us to your amazing threesome. Yeah, it was super embarrassing. And honestly, when I ended up getting ready and walking out of the room, they all ended up basically applauding me as if I won like an Oscar. But I'm gonna be real with you, I was pretty embarrassed. And so were the two girls. And basically all of us, we ended up going downstairs after and making a promise that we were not gonna ever say anything about this super embarrassing moment. Well, until now, because, well, I'm telling the entire internet it because, well, my story, so why not? Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's embarrassing story. Make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.